My name's Rich Warren and I'm the Festival Director at Encounters Film Festival. My job is basically to steer the ship from everything from putting out the call for entries and making sure that we're getting the submissions in, to ensure that we've got the funding to put the festival on, to then actually making sure that the festival we're putting on is relevant for our audience base. Usually out of about 2,500 submissions, we're left with about 1,000 to 1,200 films that are of a good enough quality. That gives you an idea of the amount of good films that are being made out there. I have an animation programmer, Kieran Argo, and a short film programmer, Guy Mucci, and they both then take those 1,200 films and start to mould competition programs out of them, which will then screen at the festival. We screen about 200 to 250 films in competition, and what they look to do is to, one, find the most relevant films in terms of are there any trends, are there any things that are coming out in the industry that are relevant for people to see. What will be the most benefit for our audience to see? You know, our audience is a very cine literate audience, mainly may comprise the filmmakers who are making short films. So therefore, you know, what is it they need to see? What is it they need to see in terms of what trends are happening? And also, who will benefit the most from screening at the festival? You know, what filmmaker, if we can get this filmmaker, if we can get the people that we know, the industry that we know are coming to the festival to see this filmmaker's career could really develop. You know, so we take that into account as well. So they're the kind of things that we consider when we're putting together these competition programs. My advice is to do the research. Look at the festivals that you're thinking of submitting to. If you see something that takes your fancy, that you think, oh, that would be a good benefit for me to screen there because they get an industry audience. Now, something like Sundance, you know Sundance is going to be a big festival and everyone's going to be there. If you get your film into Sundance, everyone's going to see it. But then look at the Sundance program from last year or the year before and see what films are being selected and see how does your film compare to that, and ask yourself honestly, you know, is my film, am I ready for Sundance? If the answer's no, then, you know, follow the career of someone who is at Sundance, their previous film, which festivals did it screen at. The submission process with festivals is as big a learning curve as actually learning to make the films yourself. But if you do it right and you find the festivals that will help you and your career for, you know, what's best for you, then festivals can really be that gateway or that springboard to, you know, completely elevate your career. It's the hardest question that I always get asked is, you know, what is it I'm looking for in a short film? What makes a good Encounters film? And the answer is it could be anything, you know, which is a really cop-out answer I'm completely aware of. But we're interested in good storytelling. That's the main thing. You know, I will happily forgive terrible production values, shaky camera, you know, poor sound. You know, I'll forgive all of those things if the storytelling is good, if the storytelling is captivating, if I'm interested. You know, my biggest complaint with short films is that they're too long. You know, most of the time when we're watching a short film, you know, the first bit of feedback is you need to shave a few minutes off of it. You know, can you make it a little bit more condensed? You know, if it's a 10-minute film, tell it in 10 minutes. If it's an 8-minute film, make it an 8-minute film. Part of that is because, you know, quite often with short films, small budgets, people performing multiple roles, quite often the director is involved in the editing process and knows that there's that shot that took 3 days to achieve. You know, it was so difficult, and they're not dropping it for love nor money. But actually, if they did, they'd have a much tighter film. Film festivals have become this kind of meeting ground. You know, it's kind of like a self-help group, you know, but not in a like filmmakers need help type way, but in a way that actually you can benefit by the people that are in the room. You can benefit by seeing the films that are being on screen. You can benefit by listening to the masterclasses and talks and everything. But the biggest benefit is being in a room with your peers. You know, having conversations with people that won't be limited by your friendships, essentially. You know, how many times have you shown someone your film and the response has been, you ask them what they think of it and the response is, oh yeah, it was all right. You know, that's not helpful to anyone. You show another filmmaker your film, the response will be, it was all right, but I didn't understand what you were trying to do there, and I don't know why you were going down that route, and I would have done it like this, and you're learning. You know, I always say to people that film festivals don't happen in the cinema screens, and they don't happen in the auditoriums and the conference rooms. They happen in the bars and the restaurants and the networking sessions surrounding all of these places, because that's where the conversations happen. Find those films that you find a synergy with. There's something similar to what you're trying to achieve, and with that, go and talk to those filmmakers. Go and talk to the other people that like those films. See what it is that clicked with you. Did it click with anyone else? How does that going to influence your practice? And festivals are a unique opportunity to do that you don't get everywhere. You know, you don't get the opportunity to do it just by attending your cinema on a usual Friday night.